good to come to these video meetings prepared. Where am I going here? Okay. So I was at the thrift shop today and I picked up some VHS to send to my friend Jonathan, as is customary, because that's what friends do that collect VHS tapes. They send each other 25-cent tapes. It's 2009. I was virtually unemployed and kind of waiting to get back into going to school. And I went up to the Blockbuster Video by my parents' house on State College Boulevard and La Palma, and I rented Aliens, Aliens 2, Aliens 3 and 4, and Alien Resurrection. Or maybe Resurrection is 4. I don't know. They got progressively worse. The ones that you really only need to watch is 1 and 2. And these are 1992 VHS. I can't get it out! Anyway, what I'm saying is they're 31-year-old tapes, okay? So I feel like this movie is... I've seen this one more, but I wasn't too sharp on part 2, Aliens, the James Cameron one. So I watched it. It is 138 minutes long, rated R. And this movie, there was a lot of controversy per the Wikipedia article that I read after this part 1 was so successful in 1979, the Ridley Scott movie. It took them years at Fox to try and get everything going for part 2. And Fox really liked James Cameron's scripts for Terminator and Rambo First Blood Part 2. So in 1983, they had him write the screenplay for Aliens. And then nothing happened until for 2 years, and they started filming at Pinewood Studios in the UK in 1985. And that whole situation, per the article I read, was very conflicting as well. $18.5 million budget, and the UK production studio was fighting with the Fox and studio and James Cameron throughout the whole process. And they rushed through everything so much that the composer for the soundtrack, James Horner, had basically months to dub the soundtrack for the film. And this movie is considered kind of like Godfather 2 is to Godfather. Part 2 is considered better than part 1. I did not look up the critics' reviews on this one, but to me, this part 1 is a 5 out of 5 movie. I love the cast. I love how it was filmed. I love the 1979 practical effects. It's just rough and gritty, and I really enjoy this movie. More so than I enjoyed part 2. But I did like part 2. So, again, directed by James Cameron. The character, Sigourney Weaver, plays Ripley. She returns to LV-426 to face her demons. Whatever they call... What are they called? They're the aliens. I know there's a special name for them. Don't tear me apart for not researching enough. But anyway, she goes there with this colonial Marine Corps, and then the evil corporation that she works for, they send her back down there as a consultant because she's the only survivor that actually saw one of these things. And on LV-426, there had been a colonization process where 70-plus families had went down there to colonize it, and in the future, they had invented some machine that creates an atmosphere for harsh planets. I'm assuming they're doing some sort of mining and mineral operation. And they go there after they had found her floating in deep space. She'd been in hypersleep for 57 years with her cat. And there she is. And you got Bill Paxton and some other notable characters. I think the guy from Terminator that plays the John Connor was one of the main guys. I can't remember his name either. Again, I didn't do enough research. So I liked the movie, but I don't know. It didn't measure up to me. They bring in that little girl, and then that's causing all kinds of problems. There is that evil villain who's the corporate guy that only cares about capturing these aliens and making them into a profitable weapon, and they don't really realize the destructive power of this species. So there they are. It's a bloodbath. Hopefully you haven't seen the movie, and I'm ruining it for you. So maybe I should mention, spoiler alert, too late. You already heard about it. So if you're watching this review, maybe you just want to hear what I have to say about it because you're curious about some average Joe in his bedroom has to say about this movie. IMDb, 8.4 out of 10. Google users, 88%. Rotten Tomatoes, 98%. And like I mentioned earlier, the Wikipedia article, they say that this movie is lauded as being better than the original. Nah, I don't know. It was good. I liked it, and I'm high on a score, but I'm not a 5 out of 5 like I am on Part 1. Part 1, I'm sentimental for 5 out of 5. This movie, first rewatch since 2009. It was suspenseful. I liked some of the camera shots. I liked that there's still a lot of practical effects and not too much CGI, circa 1986, year before I was born. But I am 4 out of 5 on this film, and I can't say why. I don't know. I think that if you compare trilogies, like Back to the Future, for example, Part 1 is great. I like Part 3. Part 2, I think it's a personal opinion, right? And obviously, some people weren't all the way on this movie either, because of IMDb, there was 8.4 out of 10, and Google users were 88%. It doesn't mean it's not a bad movie. It's a good movie, but it's just not my favorite if you're comparing the two. And then, like, the other two that came out, 3 and 4, were just, I think she got dead, and then they got her DNA, and they recloned her deep in the future in one of them, and it was just kind of way out there. Maybe I should rewatch those and see how bad they really were, because thinking back to 2009, they got worse as they went down the rabbit hole of these movies. But these movies go hand in hand. They're great. I enjoy them. They're classics. They're saying this is the best. And then, I don't know, they say this is one of the best movies of the 80s. I don't know. Maybe it is. Who knows? I'd have to do a bigger survey on other movies from the 80s. There's a lot of classics out there. As far as science fiction and horror goes, yes, it's good. And then apparently this spawned a whole toy franchise, video game franchise. Who would let their child watch this movie, though? My 6-year-old came into the room and I screamed at him to leave immediately, and he saw that creature and was horrified and didn't even have to tell him to go. He ran out on his own. So that's my take on the aliens. I love that era where there was no true CGI. It's all just real life special practical effects that they made, and that really hits home with me, because sometimes the CGI movies, it's like now James Cameron's gone into the whole Avatar world where it's pretty much like all just fabricated. It's not very, I mean, there's real stuff too, but it's mostly like blue screen, and then like it's too much is what I'm saying. So there you go. That's all that I have to say. I don't really have anything more to add. Comment down below. Tell me your thoughts.